Hello everyone, welcome to the daily news analysis of nextias. This is Varun. Today we will discuss 5 important articles from two newspapers, The Hindu and Indian Express. The first 4 articles is regarding our daily current affairs section, which is regarding prelims examination, and then we will discuss about editorial analysis, which is regarding mains examination. So the first article is regarding PM internship scheme, then we will further discuss about trade deficit and its trend, after that CAG and its appointment process, further we will discuss about WPI and its trend, and then at last we will discuss regarding editorial analysis, which is related to mains for electoral reforms. So let us discuss our first article, which is regarding PM internship scheme. So this article has come into the backdrop in Indian Express newspaper. Current events of national and international importance. Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman launched a dedicated app for the Prime Minister's internship scheme, that is PM IAS. This is related to relevance, is its government scheme, which can be itself asked in the prelims examination in the format of a statement question, or even it can be simply asked which ministry or nodal ministry is connected to it. So let us understand what this PM internship scheme is about. So this scheme was launched in Union Budget for 2024 to 25. This can be shown in the slide itself. After that, what is the objective for this scheme? What objective government has set to achieve from this particular scheme? So objective was to provide internship to 1 crore youth in top 500 companies. In top 500 companies, government has planned that this internship will help them to acquire skill, as well as they will be employable in the market itself. And as they are going to get from the top 500 skills, so there will be a quality assurance also behind the training program itself. And over the period of time, there will be an ecosystem will be created, which will help for both the companies to acquire talent as well as provide training, and which is of very good quality in the nature. Then the aim is to provide real world exposure, because most of these top 500 companies work a lot of projects which is regarding development, which is also in the arena of R&D, which are new or first in the country itself. So that will provide more exposure. Further, the nodal ministry of this scheme is Ministry of Corporate Affairs, which will look up into the implementation of this scheme throughout the country. What is the sectoral opportunities? So it is basically concerned regarding 24 sectors. 24 sectors are related to this. There is also criteria for companies to be selected. So it is based on CSR based selection, that is corporate social responsibility. Each country provides, under Companies Act 2013, it is mandatory for companies to produce or to keep aside at least some percentage of their profit or revenue in form of corporate social responsibility. How it will be implemented? So it will be basically implemented through a centralized online platform which will be created, and through it centralization will be done, so that there will be uniformity in implementation and there can be monitoring and review of the scheme itself. So let us try to understand what is the eligibility and ineligibility criteria for this scheme. So the eligibility criteria is age should be 21 to 24 years. It is basically for the youth of the country. Nationality is Indian, and one thing we have to understand, this is not employment, this is only internship, so it is not full time. Education, again it is not full time. Application should be done on the PM internship portal, which has been created. It is an online centralized portal. What are the qualification? At least high school plus, even it is for a diploma holder, it is for graduate students who have done graduation. So this is for, but the minimum criteria is high school level. Then other degree holders like BA, BSc and everything. Some ineligibility criteria is also put in this in default manner, like institutes IIT, IIM, NLU and some other national importance institutes are not eligible for this. If the candidate has taken graduation from there, they will not be eligible. Similarly, higher degree or professional degree, like those have taken CA, CS, MBA, so they will also be not eligible for such type of internship scheme. Government will provide training if for example government has launched some training scheme also. So if the candidate is getting training through central or state government, so they will still not be eligible for this particular scheme. Beside it, if they are getting apprenticeship in NATS or NAPS scheme already which is running for apprenticeship, they will not be eligible for this scheme again. So that the government basically try to avoid duplication and it wants to expand the resource pool. For example, if it is still providing only those who are already having very good quality skill, so it is just like repetition and the skill pool will not expand. That's why there is an ineligibility criteria to expand the base. Then income limit should be above 8 lakh, and government employees like who are permanent or regular, they will still not be eligible. So these are some ineligibility criteria also. This itself can be asked in the examination, because this is a unique thing. In most scheme, ineligibility criteria is not explicitly mentioned, only eligibility. So that's why it is important. We must have to keep that in our mind. Then there are some financial assistance being provided in this scheme. Interns will receive a monthly stipend of rupees 5,000. So per month 5,000 they will get in the form of stipend, not as a salary. 500 out of that will be participated or will be given by the company which is providing skill itself. Remaining 4,500 will be provided by government and it will be in the format of DBT. It will not be in the form of cash but in the form of DBT. That helps to reduce corruption, leakages and various other things. It also will provide one time rupees 6,000 crore grant, and after joining the internship, and this is again a DBT. So this scheme is incentivizing learning through providing monetary incentive also. There is also provision of insurance coverage. So the candidates who are going to be intern, they will be provided insurance. All interns will be covered. So we have to focus into that all. There is no exception, and the insurance will be provided under Pradhan Mantri Jeevan Jyoti Bima Yojana and Pradhan Mantri Suraksha Bima Yojana, and the premiums will be paid by the government itself, not by the intern. Partner companies can also or may also additionally after they can provide some accidental insurance coverage depending upon the nature of the skill or job they are providing the candidates. For example, if there is some hazardous job, so there should be accidental coverage so that the candidates will feel safe and secure. Now, the article has provided the current status of this scheme. The article is saying that in first round of the pilot, like last year, 1.27 lakh opportunities were posted on the portal and 82,000 were offered, out of which, and in second round, in this Jan, 1.18 lakh opportunities has been offered across 735 districts. So it is spread over all of the country almost. And this scheme, this is a very important factual information. It was a part of Prime Minister's package for employment and skilling announced in the 2024 to 25 budget. This itself can be twisted and asked in the prelims examination itself. The revised estimates for 24 to 25 is amount allocated for the scale down to only 380 crore rupees. So the scheme was not that much taken up as it was anticipated when the scheme was formulated. That's why government is trying to push. Even finance minister has said that the companies should be proactive to provide internship to students regarding this scheme. For budget 2025 to 26, 10,831 crore has been provided. Now let us through a PY practice question, try to understand which type of question can be framed on this particular topic. With reference to Prime Minister's internship scheme, consider the following statement. The scheme is implemented by Ministry of Corporate Affairs and aims to provide internship to 1 crore youth over 5 years. Candidates holding master's degree or higher qualification are eligible to apply. The financial assistance under the scheme include a monthly stipend of rupees 5,000 with a portion contributed by partner countries. The scheme covers intern under government insurance scheme with premiums paid by the government. So this is our humble request. Kindly mark your answer in our comment section. Your PS will review. Another article has come into the newspaper. It is regarding India-China relations. This article heading is China welcomes Modi's comments, points to 2000 years history of ties. This article has been covered by us in our one of the episode of DNA on 28 Jan 2025. Kindly refer the article and you will be able to understand the nuances. Now the next article has come regarding trade deficit. So the backdrop of this article is India's goods trade deficit at 42-month low following dip in gold crude imports. What is the relevance of this article? So in the prelims examination, trend can be asked regarding import and export. So it is important for our Indian economy section of the prelims examination. This article has covered into both the Hindu and Indian Express as it is highlighted here. Now, from the PIB, we have taken this table, and this table clearly shows what is the nature of the trend. Let us try to understand the trend. So, for merchandise, that is merchandise exports and imports, export has been 36.91, that is it is dipped from 41.41 in Feb 2024 to Feb 2025, it is only 36.91, there is a dip. In imports again there is a dip from 60.92 to 50.96. Services, and this services data is not exact data, it is based on the extrapolation as provided by RBI itself. So exports is $35 billion and it was only 28.33. So export of services has increased, whereas in case of merchandise it has reduced. Again imports 16.55 from $15.23 billion. So it is again increased. Overall, that is trade deficit, in case of export it is 71.95, earlier it was 69.74, imports 67.52, 76.15. So here we have a positive, that is trade surplus, rather trade deficit. So this has happened due to, if we are combining, if we are taking only merchandise, so if we are only taking merchandise, then there is a negative trade which is called as trade deficit. Okay, and when we are taking services also, merchandise plus services, then we have trade surplus this year. So that thing we have to keep in the mind. Now this was regarding the month of Feb. Let us try to understand what is happening between April to Feb of last financial year and this financial year. There is also comparative analysis, and also here in the graph we can see that in Feb 2024 this is the data regarding import, and in Feb 2025 this is the data regarding import, and for export these are two data. So we have to understood this. Then let us try to understand about total trade happening over April to Feb. So again merchandise export is $395 billion, earlier it was also, so it is almost same or constant till now, there is no change. In imports it has slightly increased 656 from 621 in FY 2023 to 24. In services sector also, which is based still on extrapolation of last month, till now $354.90 billion as compared to 311. So here again there is increase. In imports also there is a slight increase, 161 to 183 in case of services sector. Overall we can say that total export including merchandise plus services, there is increase $750.53 billion, whereas it was 706. The imports is 839.89 and it was 782. So both import and export has increased when we are combining merchandise plus services. So there is a trade deficit or trade balance of, that is $89.37 billion till now. Same thing we can see from here, this graph also, that export 706 whereas it is 750 now, earlier it was 782 in imports case and it is now 839. Now let us try to understand what further these articles says about which sector or which type of goods are being more imported or exported. So goods trade deficit was down to 42-month low of $14 billion. In case of, this is in case of merchandise, we have to keep this thing in mind. Difference between import and exports of good was $22.9 billion in Jan. In Jan, this is regarding Feb, and in Jan it was $22.9. So it has been reduced. Merchandise trade deficit in Feb 2024 stood at $19.5, and crude and petroleum, out of those imports were $11.89 billion. Crude and petroleum are one of the very important commodity which India import, and it is this, and this is also lowest since July 2023. So the trade deficit is basically reduced, or the merchandise import is basically reduced because of this lower import of crude and petroleum. Exported goods in Feb 2025 again slipped to a 22-month low to $50.9. On year-on-year basis, export dipped to 10.84%. We have to keep this thing in mind. Cumulative exports like merchandise and services, April to Feb is estimated at $7.50 billion, which we have seen in our table and graph also. And similarly, it has been earlier $706 billion. Beside it, cumulative value of merchandise exports has registered a positive growth. That's a good thing. For last month, it has achieved a positive growth. Cumulative non-petroleum exports increased to 6.4. So what happens? India basically import crude and process a lot of petroleum and re-export it. So it has also increased by 6. Beside this, non-petroleum export has also increased by 6.43%. That's the good news because it shows the actual manufacturing base and other things are doing well. Major drivers of merchandise exports are include electronic goods is there, rice, mica, coal and other ores, minerals including processed minerals, RMG of all textiles and coffee. So these are the sectors which are promoting or helping India to export more or to make export at least sustainable. Electronic good exports has increased by 26.46%. Similarly, RMG of all textile exports increased by 3.97%. Rice export is also increasing. Marine products export is increased by 3.4%, not very significantly, but still 3.4% is a good number. Mica, coal and other minerals again has increased by 24.25%. So it is a quite substantial amount of increase. Coffee export has increased by 22.32%, and that is the good news, especially for those regions where coffee has been being produced. So through a practice question, let us try to understand which type of question can be framed and which area you need to focus on this topic. With reference to the international trade of India at present, which of the following statement is or are correct? India's merchandise export are less than its merchandise imports. India's import of iron, steel, chemicals, fertilizers and machinery have decreased in recent years. India's export of services are more than its import of services. India suffers from an overall trade or current account deficit. So these all things can be answered from what we have discussed in this particular slide. This is our humble request. Kindly mark your answer. Your peers will review. There is another article regarding US tariff. This article has come again into the newspaper. Trade discussions with the US positive, says official. This article again regarding tariffs has been covered by us on 15 Feb 2025. Kindly refer our article on that day and understand the nuances. Discuss our next article, which is regarding the appointment of CAG. So this article has come into the backdrop of Supreme Court on Monday decided to examine a plea challenging the sole prerogative of the center acting through the president to appoint the CAG of India. What is the relevance of this article? It is relevant for prelims examination, particularly in the Indian Polity and Constitution section. This article has come into the Hindu newspaper. So try to let us understand what the news is about. So we already have seen that the Supreme Court has decided to examine a plea challenging the sole prerogative of the center. Besides it, there are various arguments put by the petitioner in this case. So the petitioner says that absolute control by center over the appointment process of CAG. So there is no say of any committee or even there is only say of executive. There is no say of parliament itself, no say of opposition. So that's the argument of the petitioner. Beside it, the petitioner says CAG must be appointed by plain consultation with a non-partisan selection committee, and that committee should include various other persons like LOP, leader of opposition, speaker and other prominent persons who are related to our political dimension of the country. Article 148(1) of the Constitution equates the CAG with a Supreme Court judgment. The petitioner says that as it is equivalent to a Supreme Court judge or apex court judge, so there should be the appointment should be similar in nature, that there should be a proper transparency and it should be insulated from executive itself, otherwise it will be biased by executive. It can be removed only for the same reason and the same manner as an apex court judge. These are the reasons has been provided by the petitioner, so that appointment of CAG should be in line with other appointments like Supreme Court judge or other important significant positions which are mostly regarding constitutional nature. Let us try to understand about CAG itself. So CAG comes under part 5, article 148 to 151 of the Constitution of India deals with the CAG. CAG is Comptroller and Auditor General of India. Article 148 provides for an independent office. This office is independent of legislature, executive or judiciary. So let us try to understand something more about this CAG. Article 148 provides this. Appointment is done by the president. Appointment is done by president on the recommendation of executive itself. Executive basically central government or union government. Removal is done in the same manner as it is done by for the Supreme Court judge, that is through impeachment process. Eligibility of the CAG, further they cannot be eligible for any other office if they are appointed as a CAG. So to maintain the independence of the office. Administrative expenses. The administrative expenses including salaries has been charged upon Consolidated Fund of India. So that is important. It is charged upon. So it will not be discussed in the parliament or it will not be voted in the parliament. Especially we have to keep in the mind. Oath or affirmation of CAG is given in third schedule. Salary and conditions are decided by parliament. It is decided by parliament, but it will be charged upon the constitution, upon the Consolidated Fund of India. It is specified in second schedule. Salary and condition. Condition of service may be prescribed by rules made by the president after consultation with the CAG. For the lower position like deputy CAG and others, it can be made. The condition of service is only made by the president after consultation with CAG himself or herself. Then what is the term of office of this particular constitutional body? It provides 6-year term up to age of 65 years, whichever is earlier. Resignation, if they want to resign, by writing to the president. Removal, again on the grounds of same manner in which the judge of the Supreme Court can be removed. Special majority is required for the termination or for the impeachment of the CAG. And some conditions like ground of proved misbehavior or incapacity. These are the two conditions which has been mentioned itself for the CAG to be, for which they can be removed or impeached. So let us try to understand some of duties and powers. So Article 149 Constitution of India provides that accounts of the union and of the states and of any other authority or body as may be prescribed by or under any law made by parliament shall be audited by CAG itself. So CAG should audit these things which has been provided in Article 149. CAG also presents 3 audit reports to the president. This itself can be asked as a prelims question. First is audit report on appropriation account. Second is audit report on finance account, and third is audit report on public undertaking. Beside it, there is a very famous phrase regarding CAG, that CAG is friend, philosopher and guide to the Public Accounts Committee, because it helps a lot for the Public Account Committee to go through various reports it has been presented to the PAC. But there are some limitations also to CAG, like it mostly do post facto analysis. No control over the issuance of money, rather when the money is issued, expended, then only CAG does the audit only. So it is not in the proper sense it is comptroller, it is only auditor general. That's what has been said as a limitation. There is also limitation with respect to inventory, like more freedom with respect to audit of expenditure than with respect to audit of receipts, stores and stock. So again it is more about expenditure rather about various stocks already there. There has also some limitation regarding it is not able to audit all the organization, like auditing public corporation and government companies. There are some challenges and limitations also regarding in this arena. There is also some challenges regarding auditing of certain expenditures, like done by secret service expenditure. So CAG does not know how these expenditures are made. Through a practice question, again let us try to understand which type of question can be asked on this particular topic. With reference to CAG of India, consider the following statement. The CAG is appointed by the President of India and holds office for a term of 6 years or until the age of 65 years, whichever is earlier. The CAG can be removed from office in the same manner as a Supreme Court judge through a resolution passed by both houses of Parliament with a simple majority. The CAG submits 3 audit reports to the Prime Minister. So this is our humble request. Kindly mark your answer in our comment section, your PSL review. Now let us discuss our next article, which is regarding WPI, that is Wholesale Price Index. So this article has come in the backdrop of index numbers of WPI in India for the month of Feb 2025 has been released, and this is relevant for our Indian economics section. In this, the question can be asked related to what is WPI or its various other features, or the trend itself can be asked. So let us try to understand what the news is. So the news is that positive rate of inflation has been occurred, especially regarding WPI. Primarily it has happened due to increase in prices of manufacture of food products, food articles, other manufacturing non-food articles, and manufacture of textile. So this time the WPI has come into positive zone, and it is basically due to rise in prices of some of the things which has been mentioned. Like here we can see that WPI itself is for last month is 2.38%. For manufactured products it is 2.86%. For primary articles it was 2.81%. Food price inflation 3.38%. For fuel and power it is in negative zone still. Now let us understand what WPI is. So it measures the change in price of goods sold and traded in bulk by wholesale business to other businesses. So it is basically business to business deal, it is not business to consumer. When there is consumer, so it comes into consumer price index. It does not include services. That is the important fact. It already has been asked in one of the PYQs by UPSC itself. What are the major groups of WPI? So it is basically comprising three sections: primary article, which has weightage of 22.62%, fuel and power 13.15%, manufactured products, which has weightage of 64.23%. This is substantial. Manufactured products is one of the most which is contributing into the WPI. It is released by Office of Economic Advisor, Ministry of Commerce and Industry. So this itself can be asked as a fact. Average movement of WPI has always been measured, and only basic prices does it basically includes basic prices and does not include taxes, rebate, trade discounts, transport and other charges, because those come post WPI. Those are basically considered under CPI. Now let us try to understand some of the basic differences between WPI and CPI. So basis of the WPI is wholesale, whereas it is CPI, it is only regarding consumer perspective. It also includes taxes, transportation charges, marketing charges, everything is included. The base year for WPI is 2011 to 12, and for CPI it is 2012. Who releases WPI? WPI is released by, earlier we have seen, the Office of Economic Advisor under Ministry of Commerce and Industry, and CPI is released by CSO under MOSPI, that is Ministry of Statistics, Planning and Implementation. This is again important fact. Number of commodities, in case of WPI it is higher, it is around 697, whereas in case of our CPI it is around 299, which is latest data. In case of services, services are not included in WPI, whereas services are included in CPI. Weightage of food products, food items is around 22% in case of WPI again, and it is 46% in case of CPI. So food products are weightage is more in case of CPI. Then level of price rise. So it basically the rate of WPI is generally lower compared to CPI. It is generally, not every time. This is not a general rule. It is only sometimes this has been observed as a trend. So keep this thing in mind. Suitability as measure of inflation. So what happens? WPI is less suitable because it does not provide a real picture. It only provides that how manufacturing or how producers are doing at their end, whether there is some problem at that end or not. Whereas CPI actually shows what is happening on the ground. That's why CPI is even used by our MPC, that is Monetary Policy Committee, for its targeting of inflation. Now through a practice question, let us try to understand which type of question can be asked. So consider the following statement: weightage of food in consumer price index is higher than in WPI. The WPI does not capture changes in the price of services which the CPI does. RBI has now adopted WPI as its key measure of inflation and to change the key policy rate. Which of the statement given above is correct? This is a PYQ also. So this is our humble request. Kindly mark your answer in our comment section. Your PS will review. Now we will discuss our mains article, which is regarding our editorial analysis. So this article is regarding electoral reforms. The backdrop of this article is Election Commission has invited political parties to discuss strengthening the election process in wake of the allegations for manipulation of electoral rolls and duplicate epic numbers. The relevance of this article is in our GS2 paper. especially in constitutional bodies. So itself this can be asked completely as an electoral reform. This article has come into the Hindu newspaper. Why are electoral reforms necessary? So let us try to understand what this article is about and how to approach electoral reforms. There has been some PYQs question also in mains examination itself, so that will give us idea on which track questions can be asked in the mains examination. Discuss the procedures to decide the disputes arising out of the election of a member of parliament or state legislature under the Representation of People Act 1951. What are the grounds on which the election of any returned candidate may be declared void? What remedies available to the aggrieved party against the decision refer to the case laws also. It is also asking about some Supreme Court judgments. There is a need for simplification of procedure for disqualification of persons found guilty of corrupt practices under the RPA Act, that is Representation of People Act. Comment. This has come into mains examination 2020. So these are the type of areas which has been covered by UPSC itself regarding election process. Now, let us see what the article is saying about the electoral reforms. It is also providing some background. First, we will discuss from the article itself and then other areas also which need to be focused in this particular topic. So, what are the legal provisions for elections? So, Article 324 of the Constitution provides superintendence, direction and control of the preparation of electoral rolls for and the conduct of all elections to the parliament and state legislatures shall be vested in the Election Commission. This is under Article 324. The preparation of electoral rolls is governed by provisions of the RPA 1950 and related rules including registration of electoral rolls 1960. Since the 2004 general election, there has been seen that over the period of time there has been some reforms itself being introduced by Election Commission due to various parties approach or various initiatives have been taken. Like in 2004 general election, what has happened? EVM has been used in all constituency and ballot paper was completely replaced. Similarly, in 2019, what has happened? EVM is being used simultaneously with VVPAT slips. 100% VVPAT is being used in all constituency. So this increases fairness, transparency in the election process itself. But there are various concerns regarding this election process, especially voting and counting also. So which has been mentioned in the article itself. Let us try to understand some of them. Distrust over EVM. So over the period of time, various parties are accusing that EVM is not fair, transparent, there has been manipulation of vote, and there is some PIL also particularly regarding that ballot papers should be brought back. So this is one of the challenge itself. Then there is also issue of manipulation of electoral rolls. Various state governments and regional parties has said that there are some manipulation, some deletion of persons from the electoral rolls has happened without even the concerned persons are knowing these things are happening. So there is also this creates there are suspicion regarding our electoral process, its fairness, its transparency. Like Maharashtra and Delhi Assembly elections, these things were accused. Similarly, VVPAT matching demand is being said that 100% matching or cross checking should be done between VVPAT. VVPAT provides various photographs between that and EVM. So that will provide 100% proof. Then identical epic number. So there is also issue regarding that in some states there is same epic number being issued by Election Commission to different persons. So that is also a matter of concern. Besides this, there are also some issues regarding campaign process itself, like hate speech and misuse of campaigning, especially use of abusive languages is there, communal appeasements or caste related things are being presented in those rallies. Also, various unverified allegations are being put on, and many times what happens, they move away with these things, and that also distort the election process itself. Many times voters get confused regarding these allegations because there is no proper mechanism available to fact check those things. Then there is also violation regarding election expenditure. Many times what happens, there is a spending limit has been set for both our state legislative assemblies as well as parliament, but many a times they violate these. And also there is issue of that political parties do not have any spending limit. So there is some limit has been put on candidate but not on party. So parties many a time do those expenditure in and that favor candidates. Like for example, as per some data and trend, 1 lakh crore has been spent in 2024 Lok Sabha elections, which has been recently concluded last year, that is 18th Lok Sabha. Besides it, there is also issue of criminalization of politics. Like in 18th Lok Sabha, the data says that as per ADR, that is Association of Democratic Reform, they from time to time produce some report and data regarding election process. So as per them, in under 18th Lok Sabha, 46% criminal cases are there on MPs and 31% are serious in nature. So that is also a issue or challenge. Beside it, the article says that various type of reforms are needed regarding election process. Like free and fair election is part of the basic structure of our constitution as declared by Supreme Court in various cases. From time to time, Supreme Court has reiterated this thing. Let us understand which type of reforms can be done. First, scientific sample size should be taken for EVM and VVPAT matching. It should be properly scientific so that if it is not 100% matching, but still it will ensure that there is no scope of difference between two EVMs and VVPAT. There is also, if there is an error is happening after scientific analysis or scientific based matching, there is still error, then full count of VVPAT and EVM should happen. And then Aadhaar and Epic linking should be the way forward by involving all the stakeholders, so that if there is some suspicion regarding Aadhaar being used for Epic linkage, that should be eliminated completely and no political parties should be favored in that aspect also. Remove duplicate IDs. Again, if it is being seeded with Aadhaar, many duplicate IDs will be replaced. Then other reforms, like in the campaign process, what type of reforms can be done? The status of star campaigner should be removed if there is some violation regarding model code of conduct or some serious violation, like some hate speech or something is given by star campaigner, then it should be revoked also. Criminal declaration, if there is any criminal declaration on candidate, it should be enforced properly. Even election commission itself can do that during the time of election. Beside it, if party recognize any action, the election commission, if there is any allegation or problem regarding election political parties also which has been registered, so election commission should have the authority to unregister those party. Till now only election commission registered the party, but it does not have the authority to unregister. So that's why there is again an issue, and this can be done by providing some power regarding unregistering of political parties to election commission. Beside it, there are some reforms which can also be taken up for election expenses, like the law should be amended explicitly provide that financial assistance by a political party to its candidates should also be within the limits of election. So political parties should also have some spending limit. Beside it, there should be ceiling on expenditure by political parties and also to the donation to the candidate by political party itself. Various committees over the period of time has also given their recommendation regarding electoral reform, some of which are mentioned here, like Tarkunde Committee. It has been in 1976. It's recommended proportional representation system over our first past post, but because of the complexity, it has not been still adopted. State funding of elections is one of another approach which can be taken regarding expenditure. Then 3-member election commission. Right now it is 3-member election commission post 1991, in which single member body has been converted into 3-member body, but still there is issue of regarding equal status of the 3 members. Formation of voters council is also there, so that it can bring more views of stakeholders over the period of time and reforms can be easily adopted. Reduce voting age to 18 years, which has already been done through constitutional amendment. In 1990, again Dinesh Goswami committee was formed and it said that ban candidates with serious criminal charges, completely ban them. Then state funding of election has been reiterated by Dinesh Goswami committee. Amend anti-defection law to restrict disqualification. So anti-defection law sometimes also act not as enabler, rather disabler, because it completely takes away dissent. That's why Dinesh Goswami committee has said that we have to make a balance between dissent and also between violation of like moving away from party or breaking the party. Then in 1993, an Vora committee strengthened law and intelligence agency, particularly regarding corruption. Break the nexus between criminals, politicians and bureaucrats. This committee particularly focused on criminalization of politics. Indrajit Gupta committee in 1998 provided high election expenditure leads to corruption, unequal finance access among parties which distort the level playing field again. And it recommended again partial state funding, not complete, because when complete state funding will happen, it will again lead to wastage of resources and various valuable money which has been provided by taxpayer. Political parties must submit annual account to the income tax department. Many a time this provision is still not being followed by political parties, so that should also be mandatorily done. So let us through a practice question try to understand which type of question can be asked on this topic, and then we will be able to understand this topic in a much better way. In the wake of recent concerns arising with respect to the electoral process, discuss the major challenges and what should be the recommended reforms to maintain the free and fair election process in Indian democracy. So in introduction we can mention about two things, like epic card controversy is going on and delimitation issue is also going on. So we can give the reference of these two and make our introduction a current oriented introduction which can create an interest among the evaluator itself. Then in body, first we have to discuss about the major challenges which has been coming up. So we have already discussed in this our article video, we have discussed the challenges, you can mention those challenges. After that, recommendations like a general recommendation, or you can also write about various recommendations given by the committee which we have just recently decided. Beside it, in the conclusion you can quote Supreme Court judgments regarding free and fair election, appointment of election commissioner. These things you can mention and that will provide you more edge over others. So this is our humble request, kindly write your answer and submit in our comment section your PS12 review. If you like our video, this is our humble request, kindly watch it, like it, share it and comment on our video. Thank you.